Welcome back to another edition of 101 here in the WFUV Rose Hill Studios. It's going to be a hectic one. We might be a man down, but that's not going to stop us from doing the show this week. I am Angel Ducret, followed by my B-host, George
Sfouggatakis.
You know he has a long name. I sometimes I don't know how to pronounce it. But behind the scenes, we have Louis Andrade and Bradley Byrne. They are our radio and video producers. They're going to mix in as the CEOs as well. You may see a two-man here on video, but don't worry. We got two-men there in the back, and they're going to be in the show periodically to give us their takes. And we have a star-studded lineup for the rundown. I'm just going to kind of break it down a little bit before we get into things. You know, NBA All-Star Weekend was this past weekend. Atrocious, but we have to talk about it and see how us college students can fix the NBA All-Star Weekend better than the NBA can.
That had to be one of the worst All-Star Weekends of all time.
And we're going to get into that for sure.
Yeah,
and of course, you know, we have to go into Knicks and Nets action. It's a lot to talk about. George is rocking Jamal Crawford Knicks jersey.
Lewis behind the scenes lended me his Jamal Crawford jersey for today.
What a crazy throwback pull. Elite, I must say. Once we come back from break from those basketball talks, we're going to talk Giants and Jets. They both have questions at the QB position, and we will break down what they should do in the draft and free agency. We actually have an interview for you guys. It's going to be a long one. I won't spoil who it is, but the hint is Miracle on the Ice. You know we had to get some hockey in for the show, and we have an interview just for you before the third hour. And in the third hour, it's all about baseball because baseball is back.
That time of year.
It is that time of the year in February, spring training. We have headlines to talk about. We have Mets to talk about, Yankees to talk about. It's going to be a great show. And for anyone listening, if you want to call in, the number is 718-817-2750. Let me repeat that one more time for the listeners out there. 718-817-2750. Please call in, give us your takes because we are some very judgmental people on this show. And if something happens, we're going to talk about it. But before we get into anything intro-wise, you know, George, how are we doing this fine week?
I'm doing good. It was a long week. It was a short week, but it felt long. We had Monday off, but didn't really give us any justice.
I didn't like that because you know Tuesday was like a Monday schedule.
Yeah, and my Monday schedule is brutal.
Yeah, me too.
I have 4 classes on Monday, so that Tuesdays I have 1 class. So I was kind of peeved about that.
Tuesdays I have off, and then I find out I got 2 classes because of Monday.
Oh God, I got Wednesdays off, but it is what it is. It's another day, another dollar.
I respect.
We have a Fordham game on at 2:00 against Davidson in the Rose Hill Gym.
Once you're done watching 101, go catch that game at 2:00.
George Sfoug will be in attendance,
and we have a sick crew for that, of course.
Yeah, of course. It's star-studded lineup. Some might say there.
I agree with that. Yeah, but going into the intro, you know, we're gonna talk NBA All-Star Week and we're gonna talk Knicks, Nets, but I kind of want to spread some unfortunate news around the NBA. Victor Wembanyama is out the rest of the season with a blood clot in, I believe, his shoulder.
Yeah.
And when you hear blood clot, that's as serious as it can get. Many players have been forced to retire because of the issue.
Chris Bosh
is one of them. He was an all-star in Miami, got blood clots, and that basically stopped his season, stopped his career, and he became almost a what-if when it comes to the rest of his career. I mean, he's a Hall of Famer. However, there were still many more Hall of Fame years that he could have produced in Miami if it wasn't for those issues. And another recent example I can think of was someone that actually came back from the blood clots.
Was a Sar, no?
Brandon Ingram.
And a Sar Thompson.
And, yeah.
And those are stories that you look at and you're like, it can get better. It can. It's not a full derailment. He can come back from it.
Yeah, it's an issue where you have to miss the rest of the season because you physically can't put any contact, and basketball's contact sport, you can't really put anything on your shoulder, especially with a blood clot. You got to get that figured out. But it just sucks to happen to Victor at such a young age. He was having an amazing season. I believe he would have been Defensive Player of the Year if it wasn't for the issue. Now he's ineligible for the awards. What do you like?
I don't think he deserves the Defensive Player of the Year by any means. But
really?
Yeah, no. I think it's Dyson Daniels 100%.
I mean, yeah, he has an argument. Yeah, he's great. He's great defensively. I'll give you that. But when you look at Victor and just the talent and the Spurs, especially a team that just acquired De'Aaron Fox at the trade deadline, so they had aspirations of making it far in the playoffs, play in, however the situation is going to go in the West. You have a veteran like Chris Paul. So that team was built to make the playoffs this year and try to challenge one of the tougher teams in the West. But now with Victor gone for the season, you're stuck with De'Aaron Fox and Chris Paul as your two guys. And if I was the Spurs, would you want to, like, keep riding out with those two in terms of, like, let them ball out, keep winning games, and see where you go? Or I mean, me personally, I would want to tank a little bit, get a better pick. You never know what young talent that the Spurs can get in the draft, and the Spurs have an amazing, like, development system.
The Spurs have such a bright future. It's actually scary. And what are they? They're 24-30 right now. And the last seed in the West is 13-43, and I don't think anyone in the NBA is going to be worse than the Pelicans or Wizards this year in respective conferences. But I feel like if the Spurs can get down enough to a lottery pick, and even have a chance at getting someone like Cooper Flagg or a chance at getting someone like Dylan Harper, I feel like that's what you have to do, even though they don't need Dylan Harper.
But imagine pairing him with Fox and Victor, or even a Flag. Like, imagine having those three as like your core
next year.
Throughout the years.
The Spurs are going to be nasty. Once De'Aaron Fox and Victor Wembanyama figure out how to play together and gel as a unit,
yeah,
that's a nasty combination.
That's a pick and roll combination 100%. I wouldn't want to deal with.
And even like a pick and pop, like you can have, like you have Victor who can shoot the three at a relatively solid clip.
Yeah,
that team's going to be good for years to come. I'm excited to see them play next year.
I'm excited too. It's just super unfortunate that you couldn't see something at the rest of the season. Like, you wanted to see what Fox and Wembanyama could do together at the second half of the NBA season. And then when you look at the standings, like, they're not so far apart, in the West. They could make noise with any team in the West. Like, the Spurs were the 12th seed. They could fight for a 10th seed, given that the Suns and Canes are right
Suns
above.
Are such frauds. It's so bad.
Exactly my point. Like, they could have made some noise and made it to the 10th seed, and then now.
And don't count out the Kings. Don't count out the Kings. Seriously, don't. I really like the Zach LaVine, DeMar DeRozan combination.
No, yeah, I like the combination too, but when I just look at talent, I feel like the Spurs just have more talent than.
Oh, for sure.
Not the Suns, because they have obviously KD, Booker, and stuff like that, but it's just their chemistry is terrible. But like, the Suns have the talent that they could have pushed for a play-in team. That's just the point that I'm trying to make here. And then now, given that Victor is done, being a 12th seed, I would try my best to at least get to 13.
Ethical tanking.
Like, I don't think they're gonna get as low as 14, 15. I mean, look at the Jazz and Pelicans. They haven't even won 15 games.
The Jazz are sad because preseason you look at their roster and it's really not that bad.
No, I know.
Jordan, of course, Larry Markin, and you have Jordan Clarkson, who's a bucket.
He's a bucket, but he's not.
Bucket.
He's not like a starter bucket. He's like off the bench bucket that you want.
Yeah,
that's not a man.
Colin Sexton, who
he's a dog.
He's a bucket.
Yeah, he's a dog.
But shout out Patty Mills, San Antonio Spurs champion.
Just legend.
Absolute legend. Smoothest shooting form in the NBA.
But, we can keep talking more about the NBA, and that's what we're going to do. But for right now, we're going to go to a quick break, and then after this break, we're going to discuss the NBA All-Star Weekend, the goods, the bads, even if there were any goods.
And the uglies.
And the uglies. And we'll be back with more after this quick break.
What's up, everyone? I'm Lou Orlando.
I'm Nick Guzman.
And I'm Chaz McAdams.
We're your broadcasters for Fordham men's basketball.
Led by Jackie Johnson, Keith Argo's Rams are looking to make waves in the 100th anniversary season at the Rose Hill Gym.
We've got you covered for the highs, the lows, the X's and O's as Fordham takes on the gauntlet of the A10.
Don't miss a game. 90.7 FM WFUV is the home of Fordham men's basketball.
Welcome back to the show. It was a little quick break. From what I've heard, we have a caller before we can even, get into the first segment.
We'd love to hear that.
Who do we have today?
Hey, Vinny and Bayside.
how's everything? What do you have to say?
I got a proposal to fix the NBA All-Star Game and get some excitement back into it.
All right, this is perfect. Let's hear it.
So the issue is the players aren't trying. You got to have some stakes.
Okay.
So I think you have to have home court advantage throughout the playoffs as the stakes that the winning team will get. So my proposal is you split it up into the 2 days because you still want to have like the Rising Stars game and stuff. So all the players that are in the bottom half of the league, and if they're not in the playoff contention, they have to play against the Rising Stars. And then the big game Sunday night is all the teams that are already in the playoffs, and those players, the Tatum, Brunson, Cat, all those guys playing against each other, and the winner gets home court advantage.
Are you thinking like home court advantage, you said throughout the playoffs, not just like the finals?
How would that work throughout the playoffs? You like...
So it would be the finals.
Okay,
so
yeah, just the finals.
East versus West.
Yeah.
So would you separate it? So you would separate it by East and West, and you would...
Yep.
And you would have like the top X seeds and their all-stars in contention, and then like the Rising Stars Challenge would be the bottom X seeds and the rookies, or...
Yep. So if you're like an all-star on a bad team, you got to play in that game that doesn't matter.
So that would be like the Trae Youngs of the world.
Yeah, exactly. Because what does Trae Young care about winning the All-Star game? But Jason Tatum, if he knows that the winner gets home court, he's going to be playing hard against, the Western Conference.
So that's similar to what the MLB used to do with their...
I was going to say...
With their All-Star game.
MLB All-Star game used to... winner get home field advantage in the World Series, and then they stopped doing that.
But even now, they still compete in it.
And I mean, to be fair, in baseball, you really can't not compete.
Yes, you can. You can throw 75-mile-an-hour meatballs right down the gut, because the pitcher don't want to hurt their arms. But you still see people like
yeah, but a pitcher doesn't want to get a home run hit off.
Of course not. So that's something that the baseball game that baseball has done. That's good is that their All-Star games are still exciting.
Yeah, I mean, they've stopped worrying about winner gets home field in baseball, but with baseball, the player mentality. That going back to your point, like
you don't want to have a nuke hit off of you.
You don't want to have a nuke off you, exactly.
And the best hitters want to hit off of the best pitchers.
Exactly, and
it's
also
personal stakes. That's what it is.
It can also help the pitchers if they have to throw and stuff like that to stay warm. I know it's always about injuries, and no matter what sport you play for when it comes to the All-Star Weekend, but to your point on East and West All-Star Weekend, fixing that and then stakes of the home court, I don't see why not you can't do that. I don't see why not. But I think it will get to a point where, let's say a team like OKC is the best team, number one in the West, and the Knicks are the number 3 seed. Let's just give that scenario. And the East won the All-Star week. You're clearly giving the inferior team home court when the better team should have the luxury of home court in the NBA Finals, being that they worked hard all year to get that, get that record. So, I don't know, there's pros and cons to it, in my opinion. Like, I feel like if I was a player or a team, if you told me that the stakes were like that, then yeah, I would want to try harder, But at the same time, at the end of the year, if I know that my team is far better than my opponent in the finals, and I don't have home court.
Then if the best team is in the West, in the league is in the West, wouldn't there be more at stake for them to secure that? If
stakes are high.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, stakes are high. Yeah, but I don't know. It really goes back to player mentality. They're the reason why the All-Star weekend is not working.
And it's because the NBA has gone soft.
The NBA is worried about
NBA has gone soft.
ratings. They're worried about injuries,
Soft.
time management,
Soft.
and all that.
They are soft.
It's all soft. It's all soft.
I think Adam Silver should ban players from future All-Star games if they don't try hard.
No, but also look at players like Embiid, who openly said he's done playing back-to-backs. It's because the NBA has gone soft. Everyone, all they want to do is shoot threes, and everyone's worried about injuries. No one plays defense anymore. You look at highlights. You look at the 80s, 90s. People like Bird and Magic were going at each other's throats in the All-Star game because they actually had fire in their belly, and no one in the NBA has that anymore. It's just it's no motivation. They're already getting all these hundreds of millions of dollars. They feel like they don't have to try anymore.
That's the thing. They just want more money. They're money hungry. So I think
they're not going to try in the All-Star game because they already have their $200 million contracts and now they have nothing to play for because they only want to get paid.
The last time that I feel like players tried in the NBA All-Star game was the 2020 or 2021 when it was for Kobe.
Yeah,
that was the last time I think they tried. I know they were fighting for charity. They were, I want to say, playing for the honor of Kobe, and then obviously there was a target score and stuff like that.
100%. And the thing is, this whole lack of motivation NBA started once one and dones started coming through. Like when players started going to college for 1 year and then transferring because they have no loyalty to a team, no motivation to an organization. That's my personal opinion. I feel like after that, the players stopped caring about the organizations and started caring about personal gains.
Yeah,
more.
I mean,
and that's something that's taken over this league, and that's not something you've seen in the 80s, 90s. People wanted to play for organizations. We had players playing 25 years for the same organization. No one does that anymore. Curry's the last one.
You raised a good point, and before we kind of continue this, I want to thank you for the call-in. Appreciate the note when it comes to the NBA All-Star Weekend. We're going to...
All right, thanks, guys. I'll hang up and listen.
Thank you. Appreciate that.
Thank you very much.
We're going to get more into NBA All-Star Weekend right now. When it comes to your point about the one-and-dones, or not even one-and-dones, when it comes to the point about player loyalty, it gets... I get it.
There's no one. Dirk.
There's not that many examples anymore, to your point. So Curry's one of the last ones, yes. And
who's another one? Who? There's no one. Played more than 10 years for the same team.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking, because like there are players that have stayed
6 years
team,
doesn't count.
You know?
No. The team you got drafted by, the team you rode with through thick and thin. The Warriors were dirt when they picked up Curry. He made them one of the best teams of all time. One of
the best organizations.
Yes.
Yeah.
That's not something you see anymore. My phone just fell out of my pocket again.
Yeah, I saw your phone fly. But when it comes to NBA All-Star Weekend, the only way to fix the game is to get the players to agree to try. And we can keep saying play for home court in the finals, give them an incentive if it was money, but this new generation of players just don't have that same care.
Exactly. There's no fire. There's no fire.
There's players that complain about the criticism that they got for the game, like KD and stuff.
Then try.
And
it's your fault.
Did you see what Charles Barkley said in response to that? It was their generation. It's the reason why the NBA All-Star Weekend keeps having to be changed up and fixed up, and they have to find new ways. Do you think
it was the same thing for 50 years before this?
Do you think Adam Silver wants to be changing the All-Star game? Do you think
not.
he wants to be thinking about that throughout the season?
No, not and have to risk more poor reviews. No, he doesn't want to do that. It's the players' fault. You can't blame Adam Silver for that. It's the players' fault.
It's the players' fault. You can't really blame. You can't blame the CEO.
It was East and West for 60 years.
They could have kept it at East and West. They could have kept it at throwback jerseys or your team jersey instead of All-Star jerseys.
The team jerseys are heat.
No, they are. But like, there's so many things that you could have kept traditionally with the All-Star game. But it got to a point where the players just pull up to the game and then it's just an offensive outbursts because there's no defense.
No defense anymore.
You score 200 points each. You know, you're chucking up shots. There's no
half court. You're watching. You saw it last year when Luka and Trey were going half court for half court, hitting the top of the backboard. That's not fun. That's not fun. That's sad.
No, it's fun. It's fun when players kind of go head to head with each other. That was.
But half court for half court is not head to head. That's what. And you're hitting the top of the backboard.
No, it's not. It's not good at all. It's not. But you want that. But that's what you want. You want players to kind of get at each other during the All-Star game.
We saw a glimpse of it. The Wemby versus Kyrie. One play. You saw a glimpse.
Because Wemby is a kind of player who actually wants to win.
Exactly.
You saw it in the way he spoke.
He has the mentality.
Yeah, the way he spoke about the game.
Jaren Jackson. You saw what Jaren Jackson did? He picked up. I forgot who it was, but he picked up someone from full court.
There are certain players who actually care.
It's the youngins. It's the young guns.
No, it's not even them anymore. It's the veterans. LeBron's not going to try.
I'm saying the young guys are the ones who care more.
Yeah, they do.
Because they want to prove themselves.
The young guys are slowly going to take over the All-Star game. Like, they're going to be the ones filling up the roster spots. You're not going to see the veterans like KD, LeBron, Curry anymore. Like, well, about, I want to say 3 to 4 years away where it's entirely young guys in the All-Star game. Like the Jokic and Giannis in the world. However, players like LeBron and Curry and Durant, they should be giving the young guys a reason to try. They should be giving them a reason to take over the NBA when they're gone. Someone like LeBron,
Ant's going to be the face of the league once.
He doesn't even want to be the face of the league.
He doesn't want to be, but he's going to be. It's going to be him or Shea. I mean, one of those two.
You know, there was actually
You're not going to put Jokic as that.
There was actually a valid argument when it comes to the face of the NBA. And many analysts believe that the face of the NBA cannot be an international face.
Yeah,
because
I forgot Chase from Canada.
Because the game is American.
It is.
Right?
They can't
so
do that.
Players like Ant, Tatum should be the faces of the NBA. Zion, if it wasn't.
They're never going to make the face of the NBA a player from Boston because everyone hates Boston.
I mean, who's going to make the face someone from Minnesota when barely people even go to the market, you know?
No, because people see him as Baby Jordan, that's why.
I understand, but it's also a market thing as well. Minnesota's not a big market.
Everyone knows that.
Boston's a big market, so that's why Tatum comes to mind.
JB.
Jalen Brunson.
You heard it here first.
Jalen Brunson has the face of the league. I don't know where we're going with that one.
You heard it here.
But international players are taking over the game.
Yeah.
It's clear as day. International players are taking over the game.
The Wembys, you got the Jokic's, Giannis.
Exactly.
Shay's borderline, even though because it's Canada.
Canada is still international.
Essentially.
So we have to keep them there. But and now going back now to fixing the NBA All-Star Weekend, many people talked about U.S. versus the world as an idea because you see, I don't know if you guys see in hockey with the 4 nations and USA and Canada, they go at each other's necks.
It would never be like that for the NBA, but I have an idea.
Let's hear it.
You know how the WNBA, or I don't know if it was WNBA sanctioned, but they had that one-on-one tournament?
Yeah.
I could see that.
One-on-one tournament in the NBA All-Star.
They're
talking about it.
They got one side for bigs, one side for...
I wasn't even thinking just bigs and guards. I was just thinking just anyone. Anyone. Because imagine a Kyrie.
A king of the court will go crazy.
A king of the court will go crazy.
A king of the court would be nuts.
But again, we can think of all these ideas.
Like it could be 1st to 11.
But the players still need an incentive to even want to do it. That's the issue. We can keep on thinking of this.
That's an ego contest, no? That's an ego contest.
It should be an ego contest. It should.
A one-on-one tournament is a straight ego contest because there's more in it personally. No one's gonna want to be walking to the tunnel after a game and see a sign that says Kyrie crossed you up and dropped you.
No, I agree.
Want to see that.
I 100% agree.
If Ant saw that, he would slap the fan who had that.
Oh, I think Anthony Edwards would 100% do a one-on-one tournament if it was there.
Him, Kyrie, someone like Ja.
Yeah.
All the guys. KD would love that.
I think KD would easily win a one-on-one.
100%.
Because you can't guard KD.
Like imagine KD versus Braun one-on-one.
You wish you saw that years in the prime,
but it never happened because everyone stopped caring.
Yeah, but let's not Sunday night when it comes to All-Star Weekend is the biggest issue. But
Even Saturday's bad.
I was gonna say,
Saturday's
let's look at the
bad
rest
too.
of the
No,
weekend,
Saturday's bad.
guys.
You saw what Wemby and Chris Paul did at the skills challenge?
Oh, it was tragic.
And then the 3-point contest, boring.
Yeah, nobody really showed out.
No,
I mean,
Buddy Hield tried. It was a shame seeing Jalen Brunson.
I thought Tyler
put up,
Herro
like-
was gonna win. I'm not gonna lie.
I thought it was gonna be Ken Johnson.
Yeah, he didn't do that good.
No, but that's something you expect. And then don't get me started on the slam dunk contest. Don't. This year was a little bit of a revival because Stephon Castle, shout out Stephon Castle.
He was good.
He gave Mac McClung a run
They
for his
slept on
money.
that, man.
100%. I thought Andre Jackson Jr. was gonna.
They saw McClung just jump over a car and was like, yeah, he's gonna win. I was like, come on.
And then you saw Stephon Castle pull some crazy rabbits out of hats.
Yeah.
He was. But I think I don't like how the Magic just signed Mac McClung to like a 10-day and then put him in the dunk contest.
They signed him to an NBA contract for that, exactly to your point. And he goes
doesn't
back to G League the day
he doesn't
after.
play garbage time in the league. He doesn't.
He's a good player, but then if he
He's not-
comes
he's
to
not-
the
he's not a basketball
NBA,
player.
he'll just
He's
be
not an NBA player.
No, he's not. That's the issue. He's just a high flyer, and the NBA needs high flyers for this contest.
So I'm pretty sure you saw the tweets going around.
Of course I did. I know what you're gonna say.
Zach
Just
LaVine's
say it.
coming back.
Zach LaVine,
Aaron Gordon, Ja, and there was one more.
I think it was Giannis. I think Giannis.
And Giannis.
Played his
These four. I know Zach LaVine and Aaron Gordon say it every year, but I feel like
do you know
this is
why,
the year they come back.
Do you know why those names excite us? Like, just saying it right now, because they're star talent. Like Gordon and LaVine, they're all-star talent, even if they haven't been an all-star.
Giannis is a superstar.
I think LaVine actually, but
LaVine has a couple, I think.
exactly. And then obviously Ja and Giannis, like those are marketable players. Like, that's something that needs to be fixed throughout All-Star Weekend. You need the marketable players throughout every contest. I think, let's start with Friday night. Celeb Game, for some reason, is the funnest one at this point because it's just comedy.
This year was garbage too.
I saw Drewski just trying.
100%. They're saying it's a celeb game. Half the time I'm yelling at my TV going, who?
You need some names for that too, but again, it's just for comedy.
But why
so
who? Why do I know 3 people?
I'm not too worried about the celeb game. All right, it's gonna continue being for comedy, but I am worried about the Rising Stars game.
Who's
Back to
Rome Flynn. Someone tell me who Rome Flynn is, please.
I don't know.
He won the
I know he won
celeb game
MVP, but I don't know who he is.
Who is that?
I feel like I'm gonna get flamed. Whoever's watching this show that probably knows him, and then I'm
Barry Bonds was a coach.
No, I know that was
wow.
great. Barry Bonds being there was great in my opinion, but just going away from the celeb game because who cares about that one? It's just for entertainment purposes. The Rising Stars game is where it starts off the weekend, in my opinion, and I think you need to go back to the traditional rookies versus sophomores. You have rookies that want to prove themselves. You have sophomores who are a year out from being rookies and want to show that they're not a rookie anymore, that they can play in the league. Let them go head to head. Back then, when rookies and sophomores, they had some good outings. Remember the Hardaway and Waiters back and forth in the games, the Kyrie.
Kyrie on Brandon Knight.
Exactly. Do you see the moments that we can, get back?
That we're remembering off the top of our head.
Because they were memorable.
I can't name another play other than Kyrie versus Wemby from this year's All-Star game.
Exactly. We don't
I
have
remember
those,
that from 2014.
We don't have those moments anymore.
Sitting by my fireplace, watching that, like, what?
That's something we need to get back. Now, the 3-point contest, you want to have your best shooters, yes, but you also still want stars, okay, that can shoot lights out. And the dunk contest,
the Dame Lillards, the Steph Currys, the Klay Thompsons,
exactly,
the Lucas.
Exactly. The dunk contest, you need the stars. Like, we're gonna be saying this every year. You need the stars.
Look, what was it? Was it 88 when MJ won? Who the names he went up against? He went up against like 2 Hall of Famers.
Exactly.
Dominique.
Exactly.
Like the Jordan versus Dominique Hades, Clyde Drexlers. Like
you had those players in the dunk contest. You had the Kobe's of the world, the McGrady's, the Carters.
Yeah.
Even nowadays with the Levines and Gordons, like those are names.
And like even like the clown names, like JaVale McGee.
Yeah.
Like even people who.
Even Donovan Mitchell.
Yeah. Like
Dwight Howard. Like, you just need a name that, like, after the dunk contest, you see them playing the NBA and, like, I know that guy and he is a true highlight reel. Like, these guys now in the dunk contest, they're a highlight reel in the dunk contest even though they don't show off. And then they play in the NBA and you still don't know who they are. this All-Star Weekend has to be fixed, and in my opinion, it's not going to be fixed for years to come unless the players change their mentality or change their egos and give the fans what they truly want, which is basically a summertime pickup game in the middle of February. I think that's ultimately what they want with All-Star Weekend.
Like look at this. The 1988 Slam Dunk Contest. You have Michael Jordan, Neek, Clyde Drexler, another name you know, Jerome Kersey.
Yeah.
Spud Webb.
Yeah.
Like even like these are names. These are people
Stars.
you know.
It's stars,
It's
bro.
it's the faces of the league. Three of them are in the Hall of Fame.
Exactly. I'm not asking.
Not one person from either the past 5 years the dunk contests are going to be in the Hall of Fame.
I'm not asking for Hall of Famers.
I'm asking for the faces.
Exactly.
People that the fans know.
Exactly. Once we can get back to that, I think there will be peace again in the NBA. But that's going to wrap it up for us with this segment. NBA All-Star Weekend is behind us, and now we're at the second half of the NBA season. And we're going to start off talking MSG, talking the Knicks.
Oh, yeah.
And what they're going to look like to finish out the season. And we'll be back after this quick break. Welcome back to the show, One-on-One. That was a great segment about the NBA All-Star Weekend, but of course, it's time to go back to the local action. We are now in the second half of the NBA. It's not really the second half. Like, there's only 20 games
30
left.
something?
Yeah, but it's the second half, post All-Star break. And we have the New York Knicks, 37-19, had 2 games out of the All-Star break, winning against the Bulls in a close one in OT, and then losing by 36 to the Cleveland Cavaliers in Cleveland. Now, I'm in a room with Knicks fans. We have Bradley behind the scenes. We have George with me, and I feel bad for the Knicks, and I feel bad.
Stop laughing. Stop laughing
for these fans.
Just stop laughing.
But we're actually going
disrespect.
We're actually going to bring in Lewis and Bradley from behind the scenes to join our segment, talk Knicks with them. First off, before we get into it, Lewis, Bradley, how are we doing back there?
We're doing great. I've been enjoying the show so far. Great call. And I feel like we're going to have a great day. But I have one question.
Yeah.
For George and Bradley.
Oh,
this is a kind of a two-parter. But after your very close win, I'm a Bulls fan for some context, but
You're a Bulls fan wearing a Knicks jersey. It's okay.
All right. I love Jamal Crawford. Bulls legend. After barely winning against a horrible Bulls team, we're projected to get Cooper if he declares this year,
which he's not.
Yeah, unfortunately not. But you guys OT win by 2 points, and then you get just destroyed by the Cavs. How do you bounce back from this? This is a genuine question, by the way. I'm not teasing.
Josh Hart and Mitchell Robinson.
That's not an
how.
That's not an. You just said Josh Hart. That's not.
Those are the answers. That's how you bounce back. Josh Hart and Mitchell Robinson are 2 very important pieces that will lead the Knicks to the glory land in the next couple of years.
So you're telling me a role player and a guy
Role player.
Josh Hart's a role player.
Role player.
Josh he's a role player.
A role player that can give you a triple-double on any night is a role player?
He's a role
That's
player.
a role player.
He's a role player.
I will not stand here for this Josh Hart disrespect.
Okay. You can believe what you want to believe.
Josh Hart is one of the most valuable, not the best, valuable players in the league.
Agree.
Yeah, as a role player.
That's not a.
He's not a scorer. He's a role player.
He is someone who can give you 10, 10, and 10. That's a role player to you?
Yeah.
How is that a role player? He would start on 30 out of the 30 teams in the league. That's not a role player.
I would say this. Josh Hart is a starter who just comes off the bench.
He does his job.
Or on a good team.
That sounds like a role player to me if he just does his job.
He starts for the fourth best team in the league.
Okay, so wait, time out.
Are the Knicks not a good team?
If he's not a role player, what does that mean he is? Is he an all-star? Is he a superstar?
Fringe all-star.
I would argue
Okay.
Josh Hart is an all-star. I'm taking Josh Hart over Evan Mobley and Darius Garland any day of the week.
Agreed.
That's
Any day of the week.
so off.
So you're telling me right
That's
now
so off.
you're taking Darius
Yes.
Garland and Evan Mobley
Yes.
over
What
Josh
other
Hart,
6'3"
OG
player
and
is
Mikal Bridges right
grabbing
now?
8
Look at
rebounds?
this-
Is
I'm
grabbing,
sorry, look
is
at
grabbing
the
10
stats,
rebounds a
bro.
game. Tell me.
There is Garland.
There's no like.
Who what? What was your question?
What other 6'4" players grabbing 10 boards a game?
I mean, back in the days, it was
Back
Westbrook.
in the day, back in my day, it was Westbrook. No. Hey, wait. And whatever. Westbrook won an MVP averaging that triple-double, no?
He did. It was a great year in 2017. But Josh Hart is more than a role player. I will say that. A fringe all-star, I'll give him that. Because he does everything on the court. He can give you offense. He can give you defense. He can give you rebounding. He can give you 20, yes.
He can give you 20, 15, and 10.
He can.
That's not a role player.
He is a fringe all-star.
I don't know what Lewis was yapping about with that one.
He is the Derek White of the Knicks.
Don't compare Josh Hart to Derek White.
Don't disrespect Josh Hart like that.
That is the most disrespectful thing I've
Whoa.
ever heard you say.
Derek White's better.
Derek White is not better than Josh Hart.
In what world is Derek White better than Josh Hart?
That's no. Josh Hart on some nights is the third option for the Knicks besides Brunson.
This man is not better than Josh Hart.
I didn't say. I said that he is.
Don't
the
compare.
Derek,
No, that's
Yes.
just disrespectful.
Absolutely not.
because Derek White on the Celtics is not a role player.
Derek White is Josh Hart from Timu.
No, literally. You're really comparing Derek White to Josh Hart. That's incredibly disrespectful.
Derek White is the
No, it's not.
Wish.com Josh Hart.
That is a valid argument.
Okay.
Look at
okay,
this.
wait,
look
wait,
at the stats.
I got you. I got him right here.
Okay, look at the stats.
Derek White, 16, 4, and 4.
Okay.
Josh Hart is 15, 10, and 6.
Come on, it's not
Better.
even close.
Better.
Not even close.
Better.
They give the same production. That's the point of the argument. They're both fringe all-stars
On
for their
Derek White's
team.
not
44%
really a
shooting.
fringe
44%
all-star.
shooting.
Well, yeah, Derek White's the better offensive player.
Yeah. But Josh Hart has one of the highest percentages of 2-point field goals in the
No,
league.
yes, I know. He's a slasher. I get it. But they're both fringe all-stars. Are we going to disagree with that?
I won't disagree that they're
I
both
won't
fringe
disagree that both
all-stars.
fringe all-stars, but
but
Josh
that's-
Hart is higher on the fringe than Derek White is.
That's fine. But the point is they're both fringe
No,
all-stars for
Angel,
their team.
I agree with you.
That's the only comparison.
Derek White is the Boston version of Josh Hart, which is always a little worse than New York.
No, I agree with you, Angel, in the fact
crazy.
that Derek White and Josh Hart are both fringe all-stars. That I'm fully agreeing with you with. I would just put Josh Hart above Derek White.
Okay, put him above. I know you guys are Knicks fans. Like I don't put him
It's
above.
not just Knicks fans.
Like
It's common sense. Derek White is not as good as Josh Hart ever. Derek White, Josh Hart would have done everything and better than Derek White for
they
that
can
Celtics team
both
last
give
year.
you the same production, but the only thing that Hart has above White is that he's a rebounder and a little bit better defender.
and a better passer.
I
That's
also
it.
wanted to address Angel's
And
Angel.
and better from the field and just better all around.
Okay, what was that, Bradley?
And Lewis also talked about the Knicks only winning by 2 against the Bulls. I was talking about it with George back here. I don't care about what happens in February. I'm worried about April, May, and June. I don't care about a random game in the middle of February.
All right,
okay?
so let's
I
talk
only
about
care
it.
about
listen, I'm not
the
gonna
spring.
count out the Thunder. I'm giving you credit here. I'm not gonna count
They're
out
not
the
beating
Thunder.
the Nuggets, though. So.
That that lost to Minnesota by
not-
15. I'm not going to count out the. I'm not going to count the Thunder. They're still a threat. You see, it's because it doesn't matter what happens right now. It matters what happens when it comes playoff time. And I promise you, Cleveland, Boston, the whole East are not beating us.
Cleveland
Okay,
is
so
never
let's-
having a game like
All
this
right, so
ever
yeah.
again. It's
Yeah,
never
yeah,
happening
The same,
again.
So
the same way Boston, that season opener, hit the NBA record for most threes in the game. Those teams are not beating us in 7.
And then
We're a playoff
Boston proceeded to still blow
we're
you
not-
off the second time.
Tomorrow,
With no OG and an OP.
tomorrow's the comeback game. Tomorrow,
You guys better hope.
tomorrow, Josh Hartless tomorrow.
Okay.
We're you heard it first. We're beating Boston by 60.
Yeah,
I got one
sure.
thing to say, George. Aren't you guys 0-6 against the top 3 teams?
Okay, well,
Thank you
you
very
know,
much.
the second OKC game was a fluke. OG and Mikal are never combined for 4 points ever again. That will never
Stop
happen
saying-
again.
That's a
That's
terrible
never happening
argument.
again. That will
no,
never happen
no,
again.
No, that's a terrible argument.
It's not. It's
Yes,
a fluke.
it is.
We
That's
have
never happening
5
again.
All-Star. Our whole starting 5 could be All-Stars.
No, it can't.
Yes, it
What do you
can.
mean?
You have 2 legit All-Stars and 3 good starters.
No,
And
they have
3 fringe. 3 fringe.
Okay, fringe.
Those
That's right
that
there.
means they could be All-Stars.
They wouldn't in the
They-
East, though.
They
They
should
would.
have been in the East. OG should have been
OG's
an
better than
All-Star.
Evan Mobley.
OG, Mikal, and Josh Hart are all
OG makes
better.
Okay.
Evan Mobley look like his son.
Okay, but do you know the reason why they're not All-Stars?
Because they
Because
have to
they-
favor the
you can't
record.
put 5 players on a team.
Yes, you can. Have you not seen the Atlanta Hawks back in the days? You know how many players they had on their team? You see the
That
Warriors
was a
had 4.
random.
Well, that's different
That-
compared to now because
That was the year
the
Josh
voting
Smith
has
was an
changed.
All-Star. That should never
Kyle
happen.
Korver was an All-Star, too.
Kyle Korver was an All-Star with Cleveland too.
No, he was not.
Yes, he was.
He was an All-Star in Atlanta.
I don't think he was an All-Star.
Kyle
in
Korver
Cleveland.
was an All-Star in Cleveland.
No, he was not.
No, I don't think he was.
Yeah, try again. I know my NBA facts. But you know who had 4 All-Stars? The Golden State Warriors.
Well, the Warriors are an exception. They were the second greatest team in NBA history.
So why can't... So
Because the Knicks aren't on the level of the 2016-2017 Warriors.
they're not on the level of many teams right now because we're going to
Keep going back to the fact.
But they
Listen,
can be, though.
Bradley, George, I want us to really have a good conversation about this. You guys can keep arguing that games were flukes. It doesn't matter what happens now. It happens in April.
It really doesn't.
But let's really talk about it. The top 3 teams are the Oklahoma City Thunder, the Boston Celtics, and the Cleveland Cavaliers. No matter what you want to say about each team, they are still the top 3 teams in the league. You guys are 0-6 against them so far. And not only are you 0-6 against them, you've been blown out each game by 10 or more points.
Well, the
It's
first Cleveland
easy
game,
loss.
the first Cleveland game was a 6-point loss, and that was only because the Knicks kind of blew that fourth quarter lead. But I'm telling you, I don't care what happens in February.
It was early.
Like
in the
OKC
season.
was the 1 seed last
We
year,
were-
and they went home in 6 games to Dallas in the second round. It doesn't matter what happens in the regular season. It only matters what happens in April,
True.
May, and June.
There we go, Bradley.
OKC was the 1 seed last year, and Daddy Luka said, "Bye-bye, go home, see you later." You are so lucky that Luka isn't on Dallas anymore, because if you had to face Dallas again, you're going home in 6 games again.
No, I wouldn't.
Yeah, Luka is really your daddy, bro.
You lost me there, Bradley.
No, if Luka was still in Dallas, OKC would go home in 6 games again.
There's a reason why he's not in Dallas anymore, and there's a reason why the Lakers aren't.
It's
in
so
Dallas
crazy
anymore.
how that trade is just like still like somehow happened. I'm surprised Adam Silver didn't like.
It's for business, man. That trade happened because of business.
The Lakers absolutely fleeced Dallas, by the way.
The trade didn't happen because of players or anything like that. It was solely business. Do you know how we talked about earlier with the All-Star Weekend segment, how ratings are down?
Yeah.
And you know how to get ratings up? You have the best players in the biggest markets. Do you not think to yourself that Luka to the Lakers was not a business move to get him on the biggest market there is in the NBA? And for years to go, if he signs that extension, he's going to become the face of LA, and he's going to be the face, and you're going to see LA as the face of the team for years to come because they have Luka. They had no one outside of LeBron. Now LeBron can pass the torch to Luka. This was entirely business and entirely for the sake of NBA ratings when it comes to this trade. The Mavericks can say what they want about Luka and his skills and his training, and that can all be true, and I can understand why the Mavericks say that and why they want to win now, because Luka is not the best player when it comes to an overall asset of the game. But at the end of the day, when you want to think about who's the next guy in the NBA, Luka is that guy. And comparing markets, Dallas and Los Angeles, you want to be a player of the Los Angeles Lakers in the future in the NBA. Now, back to the Knicks. They have a lot to prove with their game tomorrow against the Celtics.
We got that one.
If you don't want this to seem like a fluke, if you don't want the Knicks season to be down to, they can only beat teams lower than them and can't beat the best, you have to start by beating the Celtics tomorrow. And I'm not saying you have to blow out the Celtics. Just get a win. Like, the same way
It could be ugly. Just get the dub.
The same way that we want to argue in the back about how you guys barely beat the Bulls and Chicago, it goes the same way with any team. A win is a win at the end of the day. If it's by 1 point or by 20 points, you still won the game, okay? You beat the Bulls. No one's worried about that. But right now you have a bad track record of beating the best teams. And it doesn't look good to know that you guys got blown out by the Cavs, because we can throw out the arguments that the Cavs might not have proven it in the playoffs in recent past. Who knows if this year is different? We can keep arguing that what happened historically between teams and their playoff success is what's going to keep on happening, and that's going to be a trend. Teams change every year. We have to give credit what credit is due. The Cleveland Cavaliers are a better team than they were the past couple years. All right, their depth is there. I think trading for DeAndre Hunter from Atlanta was a huge move for them. I think nobody talks about that. Evan Mobley has come to himself. He's actually a good player. Darius Garland's a good number 2. And Donovan Mitchell has been doing his thing since being traded to Cleveland. They have the stars, and they have the bench. The Knicks need to prove that they are star heavy. We can talk about the bench, but they need to prove that they can beat these teams with depth, who are the top 3 teams in the league, and show that their stars are show that their starting lineup is better than them. And it brings me to Bradley. I know you want to say something.
I just want to quickly, because I know we got to probably take the break soon. Rotation shrink in the playoffs, so I'm not concerned about facing teams with depth, because teams may be using 10-man.
You always have to be concerned. You can't listen.
You can't run a 10-man rotation in the playoffs.
You can run
a 7-man, an 8-man, a 10-man.
The Knicks have an 8-man. That's solid.
Okay, that's fine. You're gonna run,
and that's gonna be fine in the playoffs.
I'm not saying it won't be fine, but there's gonna be teams that have so many players that they can run 10-man, and then at the end, when it comes to fourth quarter, when their stars actually
run their 5.
You can't run 10-man rotation in the playoffs.
Yes, you can.
No, you can.
Yes, you can.
You can't.
When you count.
How? Hold on. How?
Because you need the starters out there longer.
No, you don't. You
need not if you have depth for 10
men.
You
need the starters at the crucial points of the playoff game, which is the fourth quarter, 5 minutes down. It doesn't matter what the score is. 5 minutes left in the fourth quarter. Are your stars, your starting lineup, are they healthy enough? Do they have the energy? Do they have the passion, everything to play 5 minutes straight? And if they don't, you're cooked.
I'm just saying that starter minutes should go up in the playoffs. That's just,
of course they are.
They're gonna go up, but that doesn't mean that you don't use your bench.
You can use the bench, but you can't use 11 guys. That's just.
You can use 10 guys. You can use 11 guys. If you have, listen, teams go based off how good their players are. Obviously, every team has 12 to 15 men on their roster. Not 12 to 15 men are good or capable of even NBA minutes. Okay. You might only have 8 to 9 guys who can give you professional NBA minutes, meaning what they do on the court when laced up is not going to affect anything. So there's teams like the Celtics, the Cavs, the Thunder. They can run 10-man rotations because they have 10 NBA players who can play professional minutes on the court. A team like the Knicks have 7 to 8 professional NBA players, professional minutes, not just garbage time minutes. Every team has players that can play garbage time minutes. That's when it's going to come down to. You're going to have to rely on less players than most teams, which means, yes, starters minutes go up. Everyone's playing like 40 minutes a game,
but the Knicks will be playing almost 48 minutes a game. And that's when it's going to hurt.
That's the problem.
That's what's going to hurt you guys when you get down to the fourth quarter of these playoff games. They're going to be tired. Their shots are going to be a little messed up because of running back and forth all game long. But then the teams with depth, they have a chance to make noise because they can rest their starters. They can actually play 40 minutes, maybe even 35 to 40 minutes in a playoff game because they have a bench who played maybe 10 minutes of suitable basketball that did not kill their chances to win a game. The Knicks, when you put on your bench, you're scared that they might kill your chances of winning the game because you don't have that many players who can play suitable minutes. You have the McBrides of the world, the Paynes of the world, but a guy that I would actually be intrigued of if I was a Knicks fan to pick up is someone like a Victor Oladipo.
He's not going to be that good.
He has an injury past, but when he's played, he's given teams professional minutes. He can be on the court. He's not a liability. I think he's someone that you should at least look at for the bench, test him out for the rest of the season, and see what happens in the playoffs. But we're always going to keep coming back to the idea of, are the Knicks going to outbeat the East, given the talent they have post-trade deadline and the talent that the top two teams in the East have, let alone any teams in the West? That's going to do it for us with this Knicks segment. Clearly, when you have Knicks fans on the show, there's going to be a lot to talk about, but rightfully so. We're going to go from MSG to Barclays after this break and talk Nets. And there might not be many good things to talk about the Nets, but
I'm going to break up my pillow and my blanket.
We're going to talk a little bit about their future, and we'll be back on one-on-one after this quick break.
I'm Chaz McAdams.
And I'm Ben Oppenheimer.
And we are two of your hosts for On the Hill, the flagship podcast of Fordham Athletics.
We'll be talking about everything from football at Moglia Stadium
to hoops at the historic Rose Hill Gym,
discussing the ins and outs of all Ram athletes, teams, and big games.
If you want to be part of the Ramily, then listen to On the Hill from WFUV Sports.
Welcome back to One-on-One. We have a lot to go into for the rest of the show, but we're going to start off right now in Barclays Center talking about the Brooklyn Nets. We have to stick with basketball a little bit. George is sleeping over here because that's how he thinks of the Nets. I have to say, the Nets have been kind of surprising recently. They have 2 3-game winning streaks after their 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7-game losing streak. Oh Lord.
Oh wow,
Lord.
What are they, 3 for their last 10?
I mean, they've won the last 10. I mean, they have 6 wins in the past, couple weeks to 2 L's.
They're frauds. It's whatever.
The Nets, listen, the Brooklyn Nets may not be a great team, but they fight. We have to admit that, they're a team that grit and grind. They decided not to trade Cam Johnson or trade any of their young pieces.
Cam Thomas.
Yeah, so
they just didn't do anything.
They're definitely looking into the future, of course. The only really big thing they did.
The problem with the future is that Coop might not be coming back.
Nah, that's what I want to raise in this segment. Cooper Flagg kind of brought some notice around the league that there's a possibility he may stay in Duke for
which I like for him.
year.
I like that for him.
And I'm not mad at it either. I think more
He needs it.
college players should lean into maybe at least 2 years college before going
Just
pro.
show a little love to your team. That's the thing.
Yeah.
College is all about the money now with the NIL deals and everything.
And he can make
It's all about money.
He can make that much and more in college. I mean, he'll make a bag in NBA as well.
For sure, but the thing with college ball is that there's no more loyalty to the schools. Like,
I mean, there's definitely
the blue bloods are losing their luster.
if NBA players
And-
could leave from high school, they would.
Yeah.
But since they have to go one and done, they'll pick a college, play 1 year, and if they're one of the top
and make
recruits,
their money while they do it.
if they're one of the top recruits, they're
Like
gonna do
AJ
it.
DeBanks
You know?
was making $7 million to go to BYU.
There are players though that they care about college and they will stay a couple of years and stuff like that. But like if you're a really well known name, you're most likely one and done, and people assume that with Cooper Flag. So like when you saw the teams, quote unquote, tanking or the worst teams in the NBA right now,
the flag.
basically playing capture the flag of who's gonna get the number 1 pick. Because
there's a chance it's not him.
you want to possibly get a Cooper Flag or just any of these
Get a Dylan
top 3
Harper.
names in the draft. But let's just say that Cooper Flag stays in Duke for another year. He's not an option now for the 2025 draft.
Oh no, you have to settle for Dylan Harper, who is arguably going to be a better NBA player than Cooper Flag.
I don't argue that. I don't argue that at
Like-
all. I'm just trying to think as a Brooklyn Net, because you look at the standings with the Nets, and it's a dogfight for the number 1 pick. The Nets are the 12th seed. They're not even. I mean, they're obviously a lottery team. They're a top 10 team in the lottery, but they would have to do a lot more to even secure like top 3. In my eyes, so was a Cool Flag or Dylan Harper even,
It wasn't in their
horizon?
cards. It wasn't in their cards at all.
So now when we think about it, the Nets are not really
they're
gonna be a
the
top 3 team.
fifth worst team in the league.
Okay, so
Sixth worst.
So they're projected to not get one of the top talents in the NBA draft, and I think as the Nets,
but also you have to think they also have everyone's picks. They have all the Knicks picks. They have everyone's picks.
They did fix up their future by acquiring picks, yes, but you're still looking at. I believe the Nets came into this year thinking, or if not into this year, definitely after the All-Star break, like, all right, we're not going anywhere into the playoffs. You might as well just keep playing games and lose as much as you can to get as bad as a record as possible, because you want to have one of the top picks.
The worst thing is the playoffs. The play-in isn't off their horizon.
It's
the
not.
worst.
But why would you hurt your pick more by trying to go for the play-in when you know you're not going far in the playoffs?
You're not going to make a chip.
So you look at the Brooklyn Nets. Here's some possibilities I can think of with their future. They continue to win and lose, whatever happens the rest of the season. They get a draft pick. They use that as trade bait. Maybe this is their way of saying, we kept a young talent. Now let's trade for either another young talent or just a trade for kind of like an all-star kind of talent to pair with their roster. And maybe now next year, playing is in their cards.
With those picks, they have
They have leverage. They have options.
They're not going to go and get KD again.
No. I'm not thinking about even that.
They're going to go pick up someone like a Julius Randle.
I wasn't they're not looking for a superstar talent.
They're looking for they need someone who is all-star caliber.
Exactly.
And Cam Johnson's not that. Cam Thomas.
He's just a
not.
good player. They're just good players.
They're hoopers. They're not all-stars. They're hoopers.
Fringe all-stars, like we've been saying throughout the show.
If Cam Johnson makes an all-star before Josh Hart, I might actually start a riot.
I would argue the same thing. I won't lie.
They're not fringe. Cam Thomas is fringe. Oh, D'Lo. I forgot about D'Lo.
Yeah, I forgot about him too. But I mean, he's not in their future, so that's why there's certain players that are gonna be cut throughout the off season, maybe even cut before the season ends, so that they can join a playoff team. I still see someone like D'Lo ending up on a playoff team before the year ends through waivers and stuff like that. Same thing they did with Ben Simmons. Like, he's now in Los Angeles, the Clippers, and I think the Clippers, first of all, shocked me in the beginning of the year. I've been praying for their downfall, but they look like a good playoff team. And Ben Simmons could be a nice playmaker, defensive guy for them.
That's all Norman Powell.
No, of course,
100%.
Powell, Harden, Powell.
That actually got me very upset when
he didn't make the All-Star.
When James Harden made the All-Star with Norman Powell.
No, I think they both were All-Stars. I think what should have happened was
Kawhi is just a glorified Ben Simmons right now.
Kawhi, when healthy, is a great player. We just have to see him on the
Even when
court.
he's healthy right now, but he's not playing well.
Well, there's two other guys who are playing better, which is fine. If you have Kawhi playing at how he is, it's okay. They're still winning games. Now imagine those two.
Kawhi's putting up 17, 4, and 3.
Oh, he's just coming off an injury.
On a steal, but
he's not going to be the same player this year. He's just not. He's not. He doesn't have the same.
Norman Powell's putting up 24, 4, and 3 on a steal a game.
Yeah.
And on 2 turnovers. 2 turnovers.
Yeah.
And he doesn't make an All-Star game.
That's
similar to what who's putting up stats like that? Donovan Mitchell.
That goes back to the argument with the All-Star weekend and the ratings, right? LeBron James should have not been on the court knowing that he was injured. He could have given that spot to someone like a Norman Powell. But he stayed there and waited last minute to say he wasn't playing for ratings because the NBA needs ratings during the All-Star week. So imagine saying LeBron's not going to be there. Who's really going to watch the All-Star game now?
The NBA wouldn't have made Norman Powell the next one up, though. That's the thing.
No, I get it, but
they would have put LaMelo in for him.
No, because he's a West guy, so it had to be a West guy. So it should have been Norman Powell.
Yeah, but
that's the unfair part of it. Like Powell should be an All-Star.
The Clippers, they have been using players like Bones Highland.
No,
who I think is an absolute hooper.
No, I don't agree. The Clippers have shocked me this year. I won't lie.
Yeah,
I have to give them their flowers.
Yeah. Also, big shout out Bones Highland. He needs a real chance.
Yeah.
He's similar to Rob Dillingham, who
in Minnesota.
Yeah. And Kentucky, who absolute bucket. But we're off topic now. I think we move back to the Nets.
No, yeah. I mean, just kind of like wrap up this Nets segment and just kind of give them their flowers as well. Like when I look into their future, I think they have a nice young core, and no matter what pick that they get,
they need to trade for an All-Star.
They can either do that or they can still end up, drafting someone with their pick, even if a Cooper Flag is not going to announce to the draft.
It's all going to come after the lottery, which is usually beginning of June, end of May.
Around that time. Once they find out,
it's right after the finals.
Once they find out the actual pick, then they know how to leverage and what options they have and stuff like that. So it's going to be.
We're going to see a lot of trades coming from Brooklyn.
Yeah.
Right after the lottery.
Yeah.
And I'm.
And they have future picks like you mentioned earlier, like they can use to package with whatever pick they get this year and trade for a guy. But again, maybe Cooper Flag does announce, and maybe they get lucky in the lottery, and they can actually go after him, and they can snag him. So there's many possibilities for the Nets. But we're going to wrap it up here. It was a great NBA talk, Knicks, Nets, All-Star Weekend. We're going to wrap up everything NBA and kind of hit the field with MetLife, Giants, Jets. But we're going to start with the Giants when we come back from this quick break here on 101.
You're listening to WFUV, New York.
Welcome back to 101. If you want to call in now, talk football, the number is 718-817-2750. I'm going to say that one more time, 718-817-2750. We got a call in for the NBA All-Star segment, but now if you want to talk Giants or Jets, please join in and call that number. We're going to start with the New York Giants. They have the third pick in the NFL draft. There's a noise about, are they going to get Sanders? Could they possibly trade up to get Cam Ward? Can they trade for a veteran quarterback and use the pick for a receiver or for someone like a Travis Hunter? There's so many things that the Giants could do with that pick. And it all depends on what's the motive here. Are they going to go young and build? Or are they going to go win now mode because they see the NFC East and the competition with the Washington Commanders, the Philadelphia Eagles just win the Super Bowl?
It's a lost cause for them.
I think so. In recent news, there's been talks about trading for a guy like Matthew Stafford for the Giants.
I like that. I actually really like that for them.
What I would not like is, and I'm not a Giant fan at all, but if you get a guy like a Matthew Stafford, who I think still has some good years of football to play, and he will be a leader in that clubhouse, you can't give up that third pick for a guy like him, though.
Oh no, not at all.
That's
not in the slightest.
That's the issue here when I see a lot of these analysts talking about possibilities and options, like swapping third pick for Stafford. If I'm trading the third pick, I'm not gonna lie, I need a Stafford Coop combination. Like I need a combination of those two players in my.
If you do that, you need a Jaden Daniels-esque talent. If you trade away a pick that high,
third pick,
yeah, you need a talent that's similar to someone like Jaden Daniels, to someone like another A-list quarterback.
Okay, but where do you rank Matthew Stafford in like your list of quarterbacks?
Top 12.
That's not. He's a reliable quarterback.
Yeah, but he's not the same Matthew Stafford he was 4 years ago.
Granted, he's not.
He's
but
reliable, but just the injury history is a little concerning. He's a good quarterback.
No, I get it, yeah.
But it's just like, as a Giants fan,
Josh
myself,
Allen, Patrick Mahomes.
I mean, obviously you're not getting any of them, but
no. But I'm saying like Josh Allen, Patrick Mahomes, Lamar, C.J. Stroud,
Jalen Hurts,
Jaden Daniels, Jared Goff.
I put Goff and Stafford in a similar category.
Baker.
Yeah, me too. I feel like Goff is a little bit.
Baker almost in the same category.
I think
like
you can say Jordan Love.
They're all.
It's too early for
Jordan Love. I would put a little bit
but
above.
Wait, back up. But it's not too early for Jaden Daniels.
Because Jaden Daniels was setting rookie history.
So did Jordan Love led a Packers team with not much help.
I won't lie. Jaden Daniels definitely proved himself throughout the year.
Bryce Young,
playoffs. Bryce Young's a scary
he's gonna be so good.
People should look at him in Carolina.
He's so good.
Like I know we like to like
Joe Burrow.
Oh, I don't know why we didn't name Joe Burrow in the beginning,
yeah.
but yeah, Bryce Young is a cat that you need to look at.
You can even say Justin Herbert is better than Matthew Stafford right now. You can.
Yeah, for sure.
Now,
okay.
That's 15 guys we named over.
There's guys better than Matthew Stafford, yes. But I think if you put
Brock Purdy, another one.
Brock Purdy's a game manager, in my opinion.
We can get an argument with that one. Matthew Stafford might not be a top 12, 15 quarterback in anyone's eyes. It's just the point that he's reliable. Like you don't need your star QB to be throwing up like 5,000 yards, 50 touchdowns, and like them Patrick Mahomes of the years that he won the chip. But Matthew Stafford, when he won the title of the LA Rams, he was a good quarterback at that time, And the years after that, he was still a suitable quarterback for the team.
He still is.
He's a suitable quarterback. I think that's the issue now. With the Giants, you have the third
20
pick.
20 and 8 isn't.
Say it.
He had 20 touchdowns, 8 interceptions.
I mean, he did play with almost no receiver this year.
Yeah, most of his receivers
they were injured.
Yeah.
And then when it came down to the stretch, when everyone was healthy on that team, they played out, and they played out and made it into the playoffs. And people thought that they could have given Philadelphia a run for their money because of their talent. Like that's how good Stafford is. He's a liable quarterback. Like, people need to look at this man beyond the stats. You know, he's a guy that you want on your team.
He's also a great locker room presence.
That's it. You need a locker room presence.
He can be that leader for the Giants. Like, that's why I honestly
for someone like a Malik Neighbors.
So
for the young guys.
So if it's on the table, you go get Travis Hunter instead of Shedeur.
If I'm the Giants right now, like, this may be a little bit of biased Penn State in me, but if Abdul Carter is available, you need to go best player. I don't trust the quarterback.
I would be so shocked.
He's not. He's gonna go. The Browns are gonna take Abdul Carter.
Abdul Carter should be going to the Titans. In my opinion, but different story.
Myles Garrett's gone.
Now, if the Browns it depends because the Titans have the first pick.
It's gonna be Cam Ward. Then the Browns are gonna go pick up Abdul Carter and pick up their Myles Garrett replacement.
That's a possibility.
And then
the Browns also need a QB as well. So there's two different ways they can think as well. All three teams in the
Shedeur
top
Sanders
three.
is not getting picked second in the draft.
He shouldn't be. I don't think Cam Ward should be the first pick either. I think Abdul Carter's best player in the draft, so therefore Titans should go.
I agree.
He is. He 100% is. But I feel like the Titans, they
might still like their quarterback.
You can't give up on Will Levis this early.
They might still like Will. I wouldn't personally, but they might still like him.
I'm taking Will Levis honestly over Shedeur Sanders. Honestly,
that might be a crazy.
Wow,
I'm not gonna lie.
That's wild.
I don't trust Shedeur Sanders. I'm not impressed with the quarterbacks in this class. Like, if there's a chance that Matthew Stafford.
But then, if the Giants could in theory go and say something like, I'm gonna go take Travis Hunter and then go get Jackson Dart.
No, if Jackson Dart, I will not watch a single Giants game this year if they get Jackson Dart.
What's wrong with Jackson Dart?
He's a fraud. Trust me, I've talked about this on College Gridiron with Barrett Spritzer a billion times. If the Giants get Jackson Dart, I'm boycotting this season. I will not watch a single Giants game.
Okay,
I am a huge hater of Jackson Dart. I think he's a fraud.
Doesn't have to be him, but there is a possibility as a Giant team you trade for a guy like Stafford. You use the third pick for someone like Travis Hunter if you want to use him as CB or receiver or both, doesn't matter. And then later in the draft, you get a quarterback, Jalen Monroe or someone.
No. Jaden Milroe, absolutely not.
So we have
Jaden Milroe is a fraud.
No, I agree with
Jaden Milroe is not a talented quarterback.
I agree.
Not Jeremiah Smith. Ryan Williams. Yeah, Ryan Williams saved him.
No, I think Jalen Milroe's a little bit.
Jalen Milroe's a fraud.
Here's the
Oh
thing,
my
right?
God,
the thing you can ask is Stafford and Cooper Kupp for the third pick. I wouldn't even be mad if I'm a Giants fan, to be honest. Like, if you give me the opportunity to have Matthew Stafford and Cooper Kupp, they already have that connection in Los Angeles. They won a Super Bowl. So hypothetically, I know it's like completely out of the picture.
I mean, an offense with Stafford, Kupp, Neighbors, and
that's broken. That's a top.
Tracy Jr.,
top five
running
offense.
back. But again, we have to think of the Giants like this. The NFC East is turning into a doghouse. The Giants want to either win that division or get into the playoffs or just continue building until they get to that point where the other teams kind of fall out, right? Teams like Dallas are probably the most logical team to fall out right now in the East. They could be the third best or the fourth best team in that division. But you see how the Commanders have been this year. The Eagles aren't going anywhere with their Super Bowl team. So now those are two teams you have to deal with in the East. As a Giants team, with how bad you guys were last year, it doesn't make sense to compete with those two teams now next year by trying to go into win now mode by trading for a guy like Matthew Stafford or Cooper Kupp and stuff like that, and then kind of not using this draft as your future rebuild, and then I guess win until 2026 or later on.
Draft,
but the draft
what the Giants need to do is they need to use this draft to set the foundation.
That's what I think so too. That's why
I think you go get a quarterback.
I have to agree with that. You have to get a Ward or Sanders, in my opinion.
I'm not opposed. I'm a Cowboys fan, so I really.
I'm sorry.
But I'm not fully opposed to Travis Hunter.
I'm not
If it's a coin flip between him and Shador, I'm taking Travis Hunter.
Or if I'm taking Abdul Carter over anyone else.
Abdul Carter's not going to make
I think
it.
everybody will take that man over
Yeah, like
anyone.
I really want Abdul Carter on the Giants just because like
That's not going to happen.
I know it's not going to happen, but I really wish
That's not
that's
that's not realistic.
But
That's
I
just
think-
not realistic.
I think I'd rather have Shador Sanders, unfortunately, than Travis Hunter, just because the Giants have a bigger hole at quarterback than
Yeah, I
wide
agree.
receiver. They already have Malik Neighbors, who's a top 5 rookie this past year.
I
Well,
agree.
debatable.
He was probably number 3 behind Nix and Daniels.
Yeah, and then I just think that Travis Hunter, it's also going to be hard because he says he wants to play both positions, but what if he prefers wide receiver more? And then the Giants have 2 star-studded wide receivers, and they
I
still
mean, you
have
can never have enough wide receivers. Let's
true.
look at these Super Bowl winning teams. I mean, Eagles had Brown and Smith.
But they also have Jalen Hurts, and they have
No,
also
yes, you
Saquon
need
Barkley.
a good quarterback. Yes, to your
I
point.
think the quarterback hole needs to be filled before you add another wide receiver or add another.
Quarterback is always going to be the most important position on any NFL team. It's just there are a lot of options out there in the trade market for QB right now. If the possibility is you can get the best receiver, defensive guy, back, whatever it is, at the 3rd pick and later on in the draft. You know, you want to get the best talent there is at every pick that you have. The quarterbacks are kind of weak. There's a kind of weak quarterback class this year, even though a lot of people, talk about the Cam and the Sanders of the world, and they're gonna get drafted in the top 5. It's gonna happen no matter what. Are the Giants gonna be that team to fall for one of those two? Most likely, because to your point, you should have a franchise guy. You should have a quarterback. Even if you can even make the argument that you trade.
But then, if the Giants don't pick up a young quarterback, I'm looking at some mock drafts, and some say that Shador might even fall to the Jets.
Yeah.
I don't think if the Giants can get Cam Ward or Shador Sanders, I don't see Joe Schoen passing up on.
Yeah, I don't see.
Just because of his history, his history of drafting is absolutely garbage.
He needs to start listening to his kids.
Yeah, trade up for Jane Daniels. His one son was right. You're never gonna find another
And
player
that's
like Jane
okay.
Daniels.
Now that's another thing that the Giants could do.
And
Trade.
Jane Daniels is a top 5
They're
quarterback.
not going to trade. They're not going to trade up from the 3.
I don't think so either, but they could possibly trade for the number 1 pick using 3 other picks.
I don't trust the Giants to draft the right person, even if they do trade
100%. I agree. Joe Schoen should have been fired 2 years ago.
I think they should stay on number 3 and see what options are there. Whatever the Titans and Browns
for sure.
pick,
Because also whoever you draft at 3 is going to have value if you want.
Yeah, for sure. For sure.
Like, that's my thought process. They're still going to have value, whether it be Travis Hunter, Shador Sanders. They're going to have value.
You're okay.
No matter what, even if you want to make a trade, don't trade up before the draft.
With the number 3 pick, you have 4 options: Carter, Cam Ward, Sanders, and Charles Hunter. Those are 4 guys that teams they're scouting.
They're going to want.
They're going to want.
Every team in the league would want them. Well,
even
not the quarterbacks, but
no, I understand what you mean.
You understand what I'm saying?
Yeah,
like,
but there's 4 guys that are going to be picked within the top 5, and you have the number 3 pick. So you're going to land at least one of them, no matter what, if you draft or whatever team gets the 3rd pick. So there's always going to be value with that pick. Possibility where you land one of the QBs and you still trade for a veteran quarterback because you want Sanders or Ward to, sit out their first year to kind of grasp the knowledge of a Stafford or a veteran quarterback, And that's another possibility that you could do. There's so many avenues that the Giants can go right now. And if I was a Giant fan, me personally, I'm not going for win now right now.
No, not at all.
Because the Washington Commanders and the Philadelphia Eagles, those 2 teams are going to be winning for years to come. And it's not an easy NFC conference to get into the wild card as is. I am building my young core. You have the running back number 1. You have the receiver number 1. Now you need a number 1 QB. All right, you can't be starting Drew Lock or DeVito.
Oh, buddy,
for your games if you want to win. All right. We're not saying that Sanders or Ward is going to change the team forever, but there's a possibility that they can finally be that franchise guy after Eli Manning, who the Giants have not been able to seek for. You have to go quarterback in this draft. And if there is a possibility to trade for a veteran talent, I'm not going to shut it down completely. I'll listen. but don't compromise your draft capital for it, especially with that third pick. And I think that's where we're going to end off here with the Giants. We'll find out through months of talking on one-on-one and conversation in the offseason what the Giants are going to do. As of now, they still have the number 3 pick in the draft. Will they draft a quarterback? Will they get a veteran quarterback? Will they draft Travis Hunter? We'll find out, but we're going to stick in MetLife and talk New York Jets now and their quarterback situation. Rodgers is out. Who's going to come in for the 2025-26 season? And we'll be back after this break on One-on-One.
Hi, this is Ben Oppenheimer reminding you to tune in to New York's longest-running sports call-in show, One-on-One. Catch One-on-One live on the WFUV Sports YouTube channel every Saturday from 11 a.m. to 2 p.m. and then later on 90.7 FM from 11 p.m. to 2 a.m. We'll catch you next Saturday on One-on-One.
Welcome back to One-on-One. We are stuck here in Jersey, in MetLife. Terrible stadium, but we're stuck here now because after talking Giants, we have
Good concert venue, though.
It is. That Travis
Scott concert was electric.
That went crazy. Me and Lewis went crazy in that pit. But now we got to talk New York Jets, and word's out. The team released a statement. Rodgers are not going to be the quarterback this upcoming season. Now they are stuck trying to find a quarterback. They're stuck dealing with Devontae Adams, stuck dealing with Garrett Wilson, what they're going to do with their offense. There are so many questions with the Jets right now. The only thing they've solved is finally getting the new head coach, and which was desperately needed because their coaching staff is probably the reason why they lost these 2 years.
It's not great, though. I'm going to be honest.
What, their coaching staff? They got to prove themselves. Yeah. Every new coach has to prove themselves, you know? Especially when you get someone from the Lions' luxury of coaches, you know? There's some hope. It's another defensive guy, but I think his attitude, especially being, coming from Detroit.
They had the chance to get Ben Johnson, though. That's a problem.
Nah, I think Ben Johnson did not want to be a New York Jets head coach. I think he definitely
Belichick.
Oh, he decided to go to college, so he was definitely not an option. But looking at the Jets now, their quarterback situation has always been an issue. You know, went from Sam Darnold, you had the Geno Smiths of the world. You had Zach Wilson's.
Word on the street
to have
Justin Fields.
I wanted to bring that name up. I did want to bring that name up. There are quarterbacks out there in the market. We mentioned that in the Giants segment about Stafford and them. When it comes to the Jets,
the Giants won't go and get Justin Fields.
No. The Giants need to stick with. I mean, Fields is only 25, so let me not say young quarterback, but the Giants need to stick with just find a franchise guy from the draft, right? Justin Fields is a little bit more experience and understanding of the game where he has to fit into a system, a situation. The Jets have the offense. Like, that's what's intriguing with the Jets, you know? Like, Breece Hall is not a terrible running back. Garrett Wilson is the number 1 receiver on any team. Devontae Adams is a good receiver on any team. You know, they have depth on the offense as well, too, besides those 3 names I mentioned. Their defense took a huge dip last year. We were talking about in 2022-23, them having a championship defense. That's how good the defense was. And for some reason last year, it all went down. I mean, Sauce Gardner had a terrible year.
Sauce Gardner showed that he's overrated this year.
He did. It was really bad, like the drop-off that man had between years. But those are other problems that the Jets have. The main issue is quarterback. That's been the issue for years, and it's going to continue being one until they finally get their guy. There are names out there. Reunion with Sam Darnold? Doubt it.
No, but he would fit. That's the thing.
Sam Darnold would not fit.
You don't think he would fit?
No.
Why?
Because you know why he was good? Minnesota has a really good coaching staff. They have a really good system. They would have made any quarterback fit, in my opinion.
And also when you have the opportunity to throw a ball to Justin Jefferson and Jordan Addison,
that's a great combo to throw to.
It's arguably the best wide receiver core in the league.
I mean, he won Coach of the Year for a reason.
Oh, for sure.
Like, Minnesota has a great system going on that I think any quarterback would benefit from. So I don't think Sam Darnold coming to this coaching system in New York will bring him any kind of luck. And then,
I feel like,
to be honest, you saw Sam Darnold. You saw him at the end of the season and how he kind of like
he fell off. He
fell
did fall
off and
cooked. But I feel like it also was a lot of playoff pressure.
Not even just the playoff pressure. Just like the last couple of games of the year was bad.
Hold on, his O-line was gone though.
No, yeah.
Like that divisional game wasn't his fault. Completely.
I agree, but
like I don't want to. I have to explain. Like, you have to understand that it wasn't his fault completely. The picks, yes, one of the picks, yes, but the rest of it was
his fault.
Was not that bad. Because his O-line just decided to disappear. He had no O-line. I watched that game from the first kickoff. He had no O-line, none. And I feel like he takes too much blame for that when it wasn't completely his fault.
Well, Sam Darnold is not the answer in New York. As much as there's
no.
As much as there's
he's gonna go back to Minnesota. He's either going there or he's
so.
going to Oakland.
I don't think he's going back to Minnesota. Minnesota is. I think they're gonna stick with J.D. McCarthy. You know, he coming back from his injury.
I don't hate that for them either.
I think they drafted him for a reason.
He's gonna be a stud. He's gonna be so good.
Yeah, but let's go back to Justin Fields. That's a name that I wouldn't mind as a Jet. He could, like, at best he could be a dual threat guy. He can throw the ball and he can run the ball.
Everywhere he's gone, he's been the definition of mid.
Because he hasn't had good coaching. That's the issue.
Mike Tomlin?
No, besides, I mean, look what he did in Pittsburgh. Before they gave Wilson a starting job, they were winning games with Fields.
He was very all right.
Okay, but that's fine. But they were winning games. He's a quarterback that was winning games because of the system he was in.
Another word I just got was that Trevor Lawrence is a possibility to go to the Steelers.
I don't hate that.
I don't hate that either.
Guys want to go to the Steelers because of the system and coaching.
And also it's always a pleasure to throw the ball to George Pickens.
Exactly.
Who's a top 5 receiver in the league right now, but that's a conversation for another time.
That is a huge conversation for another time.
I will stand by that.
Yeah, I don't know if I can agree with that one. I would have to start listing quarterbacks. I would need to start listing receivers, but
Jefferson, Amon-Ra.
I don't know.
DK,
yeah. We're not getting into this conversation because there's too many receivers out there. It's about the Jets, okay? They need an answer at QB. Not only do they need an answer at QB, do they even keep the offense together? Do they trade Garrett Wilson?
They gotta get rid of Devontae. No. They keep Garrett Wilson, get rid of Devontae Adams. That was, even though they got him for a bag of chips, get rid of him.
I don't hate that because Devontae Adams is a great talent, don't get me wrong.
He's not the same though. He's old.
But no. He's a good number 2 guy to Wilson. He is. But you have to put him in the right system again. He's a systematic receiver. He wants to play with Rodgers because they just know how to play their system. That's why he wants to come to the Jets from Oakland. But on any other team, Devontae Adams has to figure out the system and have good coaching behind him. That doesn't mean he's not a good receiver.
Angel, I'm going to cut you off there. Devontae Adams is not a systematic wide receiver. He is – in Green Bay, he dominated –
he was great in Green Bay.
In Las Vegas, he dominated. He shows that he's not a system quarterback. He's a true
star.
Okay.
Yes.
He's just getting old
exactly.
Essentially,
but that's what makes him
down.
He's not fully washed up, but he's on that path.
And also, he gets put in a bad situation with the old Aaron Rodgers, even though, we're supposed to have this chemistry. No, things are different now. And it makes him look bad.
No, the chemistry has helped. I mean, the Green Bay days were electric. He was definitely a top receiver.
He was also a top receiver in Oakland.
He was, and they didn't have any
Las
quarterback.
Vegas.
Well, it was Oakland when he played there, Lewis.
No, it wasn't. It was Vegas.
Yeah, it was
He
Vegas.
literally
It was
just.
Vegas?
Yeah, it was Vegas.
This is literally
What?
he was on Vegas last year, man.
I'm cooked.
Yeah, you're cooked.
You're
But it's
done
okay.
for.
Yeah, I'm also always gonna call the A's the Oakland A's.
100%. I mean, I think I said Oakland Raiders by accident as well, but no, it's Las Vegas Raiders for anyone listening. I'm sorry for the football fans out there. When it comes to Davante Adams, I think he has to go because he needs a better situation than he is now. The Jets are still figuring things out. You don't know what you're going to get from them, honestly. Like, if you can get a reliable quarterback that can throw to both Wilson and Adams, then those two together could be one of the top duos in the league. Like, we talked about the Browns and Smiths, back then the Hill and the Waddle combination, the Addison and Jefferson.
Oh yeah.
Higgins and Chase.
Higgins and Jamar.
Like, when you look at Adams and Wilson, they have the chance, they have the opportunity to be that kind of duo together. Am I wrong?
Not at all.
Yeah, so like if you give them a good quarterback, if you give them someone that can throw the ball to them, there's no reason why they can't be. So real quick, as we kind of like end this segment, George, who do you think is going to be the Jets quarterback next year?
I think it's a coin flip between Shador and
Shador?
Yes, yeah. I was looking at some mock drafts and they said he would fall that
The
low.
Jets?
Yeah.
The Jets being able to get him?
Some mock drafts said that. I think Shador or Justin Fields. I like the Justin Fields fit. I don't like Justin Fields as a quarterback, but I feel like he would possibly fit in that system.
I like Justin Fields. I like Justin Fields for the Jets. Is it weird to say Matthew Stafford for the Jets?
Kind of crazy.
Kind of crazy, but I think Stafford could fit in the Jets system. No,
I do, but I feel like then you don't get rid of Devontae. Because you
don't
need
get
that
rid of
second
Devontae.
receiver.
No, yeah, you don't need to get rid of Devontae in that situation. So that's gonna do it for us here in MetLife. Giants, Jets, both have QB issues. It's never gonna end here in New York. All right, there's always issues with every New York team, no matter what the sport is. When we come back from break, we actually have a special interview for you, a little Miracle on the Ice. Stay tuned for that and more when we come back from 1-on-1.